And here we go. It is December 9th, 2019. There are 15 shopping days till Christmas. Micah, you only have 2 weeks, buddy, to get something for mom and dad.
Mom already bought our pants off Amazon. We got it delivered. I didn't go out shopping.
Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad what Christmas has become?
So self-centered.
No one can wait till December 25th. Everybody has their tree up before Thanksgiving now. We've got, instead of waiting till Christmas morning to get presents, we're all ordering them online and they're coming to our houses like 2-3 weeks before Christmas. Good.
I bought my dog.
All right, but we have, over the last week, things have come to a crawl in pre-algebra. We got to get moving. Multiplying decimals. Here's what you do. Simple. You just multiply as usual, and you don't worry about the decimal point until the end. The total number of decimal places in each factor, you add those up, and that's how many decimal places are in the whole answer. Okay? So just to make sure you know what you're doing, we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4 at the bottom of 251. This should take like less than 2 minutes. So get your paper and pencil ready. We're doing negative 7.39, 251 times 2.1. So I'm going to totally ignore the decimal point. Don't forget it's negative. So your final answer is going to be positive or negative?
Negative.
Because one's negative, one's positive. Here we go. Ready? See who can beat me. 3, 7, 0, 14, 9, 1, 15, 5, 1. How many total decimal places? 2. There's 2 decimal places in the one factor and 1 in the other for a total of 3. So I start at the end and I go 1, 2, 3. 15.519. Now, when it comes to decimals, often the directions will say round it to the nearest thousandth or hundredth or tenth. Most of the time, it's to the hundredth. Sometimes they want you to round it to the nearest tenth. Do you remember how to round?
Yeah.
Remember the simple rule for rounding. 5 or more, add 1 more. So if you were rounding this, Jordan, to the nearest tenth, you would, with laser-like focus, hone in on the tenth place. You would look to the right, what do you see? A 1. So it's done, 15.5. Because unless it's a 5 or more to the right, the 5 is going to stay a 5. If next to the 5 was a number greater than 5, or 5 or greater, you would bump this up to a 6. Everybody got that? What if I was asked to round this number to the hundredths place? Where would my laser-like focus go? If I'm rounding this to the hundredths, where would my laser-like focus go, Mitchell? On which digit?
The 9.
Nope. Not yet. Which digit's in the hundredths place? The 1. So I'm going to hone in right here. Then, as Mitchell says, we're going to look to the right. What do we see?
The 9. So you
Am I going to keep it a 1 or make it a 2?
2.
What happens to the 9 if I round? It turns to a 0 because I'm rounding. I'm saying that my answer doesn't have to be that precise. I can round it to the hundredths. Does that make sense? Everybody got that? Is everybody done with 2, 3, and 4 already? You act like 4-digit multiplication gives you anxiety.
It does.
Thank you. No. Is it 19.62 and 5.07?
Yeah.
Are they both positive?
Yep.
So what's my final answer going to be? Positive. Did you already beat me?
No.
I'm having trouble writing.
It is a race. It is a competition. Who wants to wager? I'm kidding.
Candy cane has a hole.
I feel like I have to clarify for those in cyberspace. Mr. Franken does not condone wagering. He has a long-standing joke he uses about not going too fast in math, because it's not a competition. Please no wagering. So that's where that joke came from. Not that, yeah.
What? Stuff like poker.
Anybody get what I got, or did I mess up?
What'd you get? Got it right. Wait.
You got it.
That's what I.
99.4734. There are 2 decimal places up here and 2 here for a total of 4. So you start at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dominic, what if I wanted to round this number to the nearest tenth? What would you put as your answer? 99.5, because he would hone in on the 4, look to the right, sees a 7, greater than 5 or more, so you round this up to 5. Right, Elise? Everybody good? Number 3. 1.13 times 0.04. Are you keeping up, Kiara?
Yes.
You say that so enthusiastically.
I know.
How many places I gotta move it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you get 0.0452?
Yeah.
I got that for racing.
And number 4. Is the answer to number 4 going to be negative or positive, Ethan?
Positive.
Because when you multiply or divide, if the signs are the same, it's positive. 0.85 times 8, and what did you get?
6.7.
6.8.
I thought I heard 6.75.
I got
I did round.
6 point, it should come out evenly 6.8, shouldn't it?
Yeah, that's what I got.
I got 6.8.
I got 6.8.
6.8.
Wait, is that after you round? Is that after you round?
6.8. 0, 0.
I got 6.75.
Okay. Shh. I wasn't going to do this one on the board because it's less complicated, but how many places I have to move the decimal point? There is none here. 6.8. Oh, no, you wrote 8 times 5 is 35, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, shh.
You still get 6 minutes to round.
Seth, read the directions for us where it says your turn now. Right there at the bottom, 251. What does that mean? Show that your answer is reasonable. How do you check multiplication? Well, you could. You could take this answer, divide it by one of these and get the other. Or you could flip-flop these two and make sure you get the same answer. Here's a way to check your work without going through all that work. Here's a way to make sure your decimal point's in the right place, to make sure you have a reasonable answer. 7.39, that's a little more than 7. Stay with me here. This is a little more than 2. So what's 7 times 2?
14.
Should your answer be a little more than 14? Okay, so what if you mistakenly, Elise, what if you mistakenly put your decimal point here? You would be able to check yourself, Rachel, by going like this. Wait a minute. 7 times 2 is only 14. My answer can't be 155. Say amen if you understand what I just said. Amen. Don't say it if you don't, because if you're like Ken, you're talking and doing other stuff and not really paying attention.
I was asking to remember how I can't
Oh. Lord, I can't quite see. She was just asking if you could move.
All
All right. Do you understand what I said, David? What if you accidentally put your decimal point in the wrong place, Sid? You can fix that by using, not redoing the whole problem, but by going like this. 7 times 2 is 14. One's a little more than 7, the other one's a little more than 2. My answer should be a little more than 14. So if Dina accidentally puts her decimal point behind this 5, right away she says that can't be. You with me? That's not reasonable. Number 2, what do we multiply? 19 times 5. We're getting close to 20 right here, and we're a little over 5. What's 20 times 5?
100.
Should our answer be close to 100? What if I accidentally put my decimal point behind the 4? 994? Are you with me, Zacchaeus?
Yes.
This is a way to check your work without checking it.
Oh, doing.
At least making sure it's reasonable. You should always check, but at least making sure it's reasonable. How about number 3? This one's a little tougher. This is a little more than 1. Stay with me here, Evelyn. Okay? This is a little more than 1. True? Yeah? This is 0.04. My answer should be a little more than...
0.
No.
Less. 4.
Listen. This is a little more than 1. This is 0.04. What's 0.04 times 1? 0.04. Anything times 1 is itself. 0.04 times 1. So if I'm multiplying 0.04 by a little more than 1, my answer should be a little more than 0.04. That's a reasonable answer. Brett, 0.85, it's not quite 1, is it? Is 0.85 more or less than 1? Less. What's 8 times 1? Your answer has to be less than 8, doesn't it? Kiera,
Yes.
your answer has to be less than 8. That's the only reasonable answer. So why do you use this? Because when you're done, you might accidentally put the decimal point in the wrong place. And if you do, boom, you do a quick mental check like that and you fix it. Are you ready? Dividing decimals on page 252. This one's a little more complicated. You remember when you divide decimals, you always make it so that your divisor is not a decimal number. And you can do that as long as you do the same to both. You with me? Let's jump all the way down to the bottom. 1.6 divided by 0.04. First of all, I'm going to do something weird to show you why this makes sense.
Okay.
1.06 divided by 0.04. What if I wrote it as a fraction?
No.
Okay. If I wrote this as a fraction, how do I make equivalent fractions? I have to multiply numerator and denominator by the same number. So what would I do if I wanted to make an equivalent fraction? One thing I could do is multiply these both by 100. Is that true? Number 1 at the bottom of page 252. 1 point, oh, I thought it said 1.06. 1.6, if I multiply them both by 10, would I get 16 over 0.4? Look at that. Who's saying no?
I said yeah, because I did the decimal.
Remember, when you multiply by 10, you just move the decimal point? All right? Or what if I multiplied by 100? Would I get 160 over 4?
Yes.
Yes, because when you multiply by 100, you move it 2 places. I'm only showing you that to show you that when you multiply decimals, there's a reason that you... And by the way, you should have conquered 2 years ago which number goes inside the box. Because 1.6 divided by 0.04, you write 1.6 divided by 0.04. Now, the rule is, Spencer, you don't divide decimals. You don't divide by a decimal, you divide by a whole number. I multiplied by 100, just like I did here. I'm creating an equivalent division problem. As long as I move it 2 places here. Where's the decimal point go, Dina?
After the 0.
Straight up.
Oh, yeah.
And then you divide as usual. What's 160 divided by 4? You can do that in your head.
40.
Done. 40. Now at the bottom of 252, we got 3 more problems to do. Whoa. Here, we're just going to do 5, 6, and 7 for now. Show me you can do 5, 6, and 7, and then we'll get started on homework. Show me that you know how to do 5, 6, and 7, and we'll jump to homework.
Yeah, didn't we just do 5?
Yeah. So you just got to do 6 and 7. I mean, I didn't finish 5 on the board. Oh, gotcha. Were you really?
Yeah.
Tough. Harsh. Everybody done with 6 and 7? Number 6, what'd you get, Ethan Tosh?
1.25.
632 divided by 0.79. Did I write it correctly? Okay. What do I got to do, Ethan? I got to move my decimal point 2 places here. Boop. So how many did I move it here? 2. So the decimal point goes straight up. So now my new problem becomes 63.2 divided by 79. You see what you did? What'd you get, Dominic? Well, get your pencil out and write it down. What'd you get, Spence?
4.42.
What'd you get, Lauren?
0.8.
What'd you get, Elise? It's just 0.8. So you're going 79 into, does 79 go into 63? No. Does 79 go into 632? Yes. How do we divide when we have more than one digit? We use what's called estimation. That back in 4th and 5th grade, you learned an extra step to division besides does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers. You added every day does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers because you have to estimate. What am I estimating? In my mind's eye, I'm thinking of this as close to 80. So I'm thinking, how many times does 8 go into 63? Now, I might have tried 7 first, but since 8 goes into 64 8 times, I might have tried 8 right away. Does that make sense? Because even though I'm estimating and it tells me it only goes in 7, it goes pretty close to 8. So let's try 8. And look at that. So the answer is 0.8. Number 7. They're both negative. What's your final answer going to be, Casey? What's your final answer going to be?
Oh, sorry.
If they're both negative, when it comes to multiplying and dividing, your final answer is going to be positive. Let's do 13 divided by 0.65. Get your head up, Noel. All right. First of all, you got to conquer this. Are you writing it correctly? Did you put the correct number inside the box? Okay, that's the first thing you got to conquer. Now, when you're dividing decimals, Dominic, you don't divide by a decimal. You make it a whole number. You understand that, Dominic? You know why you can do that, Dominic? Because all you're doing is creating an equal fraction. As long as you do the same thing to both. Move it 2 here. Now you got to move it 2 here. Well, there is no decimal point. You know why there's no decimal point? Because when you just write the number 13, do you always write 13.0? No. Where would the decimal point be if I was to put one in the number 13? After the 3. Right? If I put it anywhere else, it wouldn't be 13. So if the decimal point's here, I got to move it 2 places to the right. There's nowhere to move it. Casey's got an idea. What can I put at the end of 30? I can move it to here. And then the decimal point goes straight up. And I think to myself, how many times does 65 go into 130? I don't know. I don't know my times tables. But I know that 6 goes into 12 twice and 7 goes into 14 twice. I could try 2. I know it's not 1. At least I don't think.
It's 2.
Done. 20 is your answer. Dominic? Make it a whole number as long as you move the same place inside. And then divide as usual. Here's your homework. Ready? 7 on page 253. 7 through 22. You got 14 minutes to do 16 problems. You'll get close to being done, if not done. Make sure you pay attention if they're the same sign, the answer is going to be positive. If the signs are different, the answer is going to be negative in both multiplication and division. And my biggest worry of the day is done. It was the class I knew I had to speak the most. I didn't know if I was going to be able to. My voice, praise the Lord.
5th grade, right?
What's that? Yeah.